how do you do foreign policy? How do you keep the nation safe when domestically we're so divided and we have our whole country essentially burning down?
So I'll say something controversial here. It's not new for me, but I'll do it here anyway. But I think this is something I've been thinking about more recently. Foreign policy is complicated when the greatest threats that we face are actually the threats within. Like the threats posed by the deep state, the shadow government, the people who we never elected to run the government that are wielding far more political power than our founding fathers ever envisioned. Prosecuting our political opponents in the middle of an election without accountability. Going after conservatives via the IRS, the ATF, the SEC, you name it. If that's the real threat that we face today, and that's the greatest threat we face today, it really creates a challenge for our own foreign policy, which in many ways is an extension of that same deep state here at home. That's really what's going on with Ukraine. I think there's a transnational deep state. I think that this is something that has metastasized to other countries. This managerial class that characterizes our own federal bureaucracy is really the one that also is in bed with three-letter agencies abroad. I mean, WHO. I think there are elements of NATO that fit this same description. And so when you have a transnational managerial class, a deep state here at home, but a deep state that's not limited to the United States alone, it really makes our foreign policy a projection of our domestic divisions. It's interesting how we'll call them the left, but I think there are even elements within the Republican Party that fit this description, were far more permissive of China so long as Donald Trump was actually being tough on China. Remember, these are the very people who said that the virus could not have originated in China. Their only reason for saying it was that Donald Trump was saying that it did. But now that he's out of office, they've actually completely changed their tune in the other direction. And these are very people that now want to say they want to ban TikTok. And I think that if our own foreign policy commitments are really just a projection of our domestic divisions, then it's literally impossible for the United States to have a coherent foreign policy until we have dealt with that domestic cancer here at home. And I think that's actually the moment we live in, is not the debate about foreign policy. I think we quite literally cannot have a foreign policy until we have actually defined who we are at home and stand for it. And it starts with the evisceration, not the reform, but the evisceration of that fourth branch of government that I think has corrupted our American system of governance.